Let's now talk about some macro functions of human language. These macro functions are usually assumed above the speech X because they talk about some primary functions of the language. And they can be related with speech X on a certain plane, but at the moment, let's try to understand them, what they are actually. These functions are divided into two major categories. Number one is the transactional functions, and number two are the interactional functions. Transactional functions are those which aim to convey the expression of content, what is the actual material which is being talked about, and it also involves the transmission of factual information, which may serve an important need of our life, because we do need information to live a good life. We need information about weather, we need information about our neighbors, we need information about various academic, social, and political elements in our society. In such situations, this transactional function, which is the carrier of the content and the factual part of our communication, is also very important. In addition to this, we have an interactional or communicative function. And this function involves expressing social relations and personal attitudes, showing solidarity towards others, or maintaining communicative cohesion, maintaining good relationship. Whenever you want to bring in some solidarity in your communication, you want to give space to others in communication, this function is performed. When speakers establish common grounds, share common point of view, negotiate role relationships in a conversation, we can say that they are performing an interactional function of the language. In fact, in most of our daily talk, these two functions are mixed, and they are mixed in such a way that sometimes it becomes very difficult to distinguish between them. At the extreme end of the interactional function is the phatic function, where communication is maintained only to just begin with some kind of relationship or some kind of conversation, or just to make communication channel open. Instead of sharing any communication, instead of sharing any information, etc., we just talk just to maintain a good social relationship, or to start a good social relationship or communication channel. If you look at the example here, and this comes to us from Brown and Yule, they give us the example of a conversation. I'll just read these lines in front of you. When two strangers are standing shivering at a bus stop in an icy wind, and one turns to the other and says, my goodness, it's cold. It's difficult to suppose that the primary here in this example, it's very difficult to assume that the primary intention of the speaker is to convey information about the weather. That is, that it's an icy wind. Rather, it seems much more reasonable to say that the speaker is indicating a readiness to be friendly and talk. You might have seen this in your own life as well. When you are at a public place and you feel the need to talk to somebody, you talk about some general area of relevance to the other person, and then you start talking about it. For example, this could be about weather, this could be some common area of politics, or could be some current affairs issue, could be about showbiz or business or anything. But this is how we develop our communication channels. Brown and Yule have pointed out that much of the everyday human interaction is characterized by the primary interpersonal function rather than the transactional function. So the most of our conversation, we can conclude, is about performing the interactional function, which is creating some solidarity between human relationships, or keeping communication channels open, as compared to the transactional function, which is about conveying information or sharing knowledge with each other. So interactional function seems to be more important in everyday human communication.